Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. There's been something on my list for 10 years for me to do, and today's the day I'm going to knock it off. I'm going to check it off that list and get it done. At least that's the plan. And it involves this thing here behind me. But step one starts actually with this thing right here, because this is what's been holding up this project for 10 years. I'm Michael, this is Maker at Play. Boy, the birds are nice and loud this morning. Why is that? It must be mating season or something. We moved into this house over 10 years ago now. And I moved from having my shop set up at the previous house, moving all my tools over to this house, and that included dust collection. So I have a dust collector, and it's been on my list to set that dust collector in my new house, my new shop. It's been 10 years. The biggest hurdle though is of all my tools, the dust collector is the only one that takes 220 volts to run. And I don't have a 220 volt plug in my garage. So that's what's been holding me up, is procrastination of getting that plug installed. So I decided today's the day I'm going to set that plug up, get it wired in, and get that all set up. For this project, I have a 20 amp 2-pole breaker, which will give us our 2 hot leads for our 220. I have a 20 amp 220 plug, which is what my dust collector requires to be plugged into. Then I have a box for the plug itself will be mounted into. We have a cover to go over that. We have some conduit pieces so that we can run the electrical conduit from the plug over to the breaker box. I do have some conduit pipe, and I also have some Romex wire that we'll use to wire the plug to the breaker. So those are all the pieces that we need for this project. So one little tip that'll save you from having to do multiple trips to the big box store, like I had to for this project, because I knew this, but for some reason I decided to forget this important piece of information on this project, and that is not all breakers are the same, and breaker boxes. So different brands of breaker boxes take different brands of breakers, and even within those brands, there's different types of breakers that will go in them. In my particular case, I have an Eaton Cutler Hammer breaker box, and this is a type CH breaker. If you look on your breaker box, usually on the inside of the door, there'll be a label that will tell you the type of breakers that your breaker box takes. It's very important that you look at that and see what type of breakers you need before you get in the car and head down to the hardware store to buy some. Otherwise, you'll be like me and be making multiple trips because you'll come home with the wrong breaker the first time and have to go back. Now, I, by no means, am advocating that you do your own electrical work. Electrical work can be dangerous. There are things in that box that will kill you if you don't know what you're doing. Take your own risk. Know what you're capable of doing and not doing before you try this for yourself. I started with wiring up my plug. So I got my piece of conduit, I ran my Romex cable through it, and the next step was to attach the box onto the conduit, which I do by popping out one of the plug holes on the side. I put the fitting in, attach it, mount that onto the conduit. Next is to strip the wires to attach them to the plug, which is fairly straightforward. Your white and black in this case are your hot wires, so they go on either side of the plug, and your bare copper is the ground wire, so that goes on to the green screw, which grounds the entire plug as well as the case and conduit. Once I mounted my plug and started putting it into the box, I realized there's not enough clearance between the conduit connector and the hot lead. A direct short could happen right here where that screw could contact the side of the box. Although I probably could have made that work, it wasn't enough of a clearance to make me feel good. I still would have been nervous. Time to unhook the plug all over again, take the box back off, and rotate it 90 degrees and have the conduit come in from the top instead. So here we are, wiring that plug back up again, get it all back in there. Now we have the clearance that we need, so we don't need to worry about any sort of the hot leads shorting to the box. We put the plug cover on, and now our conduit is all set up and ready to go. Now it's time to head over to the breaker box and punch the hole through of where the wires are going to go into the breaker box. So after I've punched my hole into the wall, I need to find location of the studs, so I know where to put the brackets to screw the conduit onto the wall. Once that is in place, next I strip the Romex cables to expose the wires, and the black and white wire again are our hot wires, so those are going to screw into our breaker. The bare copper wire is our ground wire, so it goes into the ground wire bar in the breaker box. Now that those are in place, pop out 2 holes for the new breaker location, and the breaker box cover goes back on. And there we have it. It's all wired up and ready to go. Okay, we got the plug wired in, hooked into the breaker, breaker's on. So we're about to plug it in and turn it on. But keep in mind, this motor has not had power to it in over 10 years. So who knows what's going to happen. Hopefully, it'll turn on and run correctly with no surprises or excitement. That's our goal. Okay, we're plugged in. That's a good sign. No sparks so far. Put on some safety glasses just in case there's the unexpected. It moves! It moves! I call that success. So this baby hasn't run in over 10 years, and to hear it fire up and work without throwing any sparks, that's awesome. I'm going to call this one done. Now on to having to get this actually dust collector all set up and get some duct work run and all, but that's for another video. That Texas heat is starting to pick up. I shall be quite sweaty in my next few videos, just like in this one. I appreciate you watching. If you're so inclined, hit that subscribe button and press that like button. And I really appreciate it if you left a comment down below just to give me some feedback. I will see you in the next video. Rest of the microphone. Looking good. Looking good. Yeah. Let's do this. Hey guys, welcome back to the shop.